Recording in progress.
We are ready. We ready? You're ready. Okay. Hola, hola, hola. God, Thursday morning. And we are ready to call to order the Finance and Administration Committee meeting of Thursday, September 14th, 2023. Madam Clerk. Yes. Will you please call the roll?
Here.
I am present. Thank you so much. With that, now is the time for public comments for items not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask you to please read the rules on public comment and then let us know if we've received any public comments or requests to speak.
Members of the public may comment during this time up to 3 minutes per speaker. Directors may briefly respond or ask clarifying questions, but may not engage in discussion regarding public comment made during this time. If anyone wishes to make public comment, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. And we have not received written comments for non-agenda items, and we have no comments.
Thank you, Madam. Director of Administrative Services, Justin Love, will you please lead us through the rest of this morning's agenda?
Okay. The first item on the agenda is the minutes of July 13th. Are there any comments?
Madam.
Not received written comments regarding item 1. If anyone wishes to comment on item 1, which is the minutes of July 13, 2023, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like to accept the minutes of July 13th, 2023, Finance and Administration Committee meeting.
Thank you so much, Director Queen Meredith, and I will concur. With that, they've been accepted. Next.
Okay, and the next item on the agenda is receiving presentation on plans to conduct an employee engagement survey. I'm going to turn this over to Tanya Williams, our Human Resources Manager.
Good morning.
Chair Suddeth and Director King Meredith, Tanya Williams, Human Resources Manager. I want to give you a little bit overview of an employee survey that we are working on. Here at West County Wastewater, we believe employee engagement is essential, and we are committed to building on our employee experience. Excuse me. We are currently working with CPS HR Consultant to secure a contract to conduct our employee engagement survey. What we are looking for is to highlight, actually benchmark our organization, highlight our successes, and to look into areas in which we may need to build on an improvement. So the cost of the survey is around $10,307, and once the survey is completed, we plan to bring the overview of those results to the board. And so that's a high level. We're still working out the terms of the contract. We do have, what we're wanting to do is kind of look where we are as an agency, also and compare it to other like agencies, see what others are doing out there, and see where there's areas that we can grow and improve. So that's what I have right now, and
I just want to add just one thing. As we're looking as an organization using the data that we have, I think that's what one of the directions that we're moving is. The idea is after this survey is something that we would do on an annual basis, so we can compare, how we're doing. Because if we don't continue progress, we really just have anecdotal evidence. So we want to use this as a way to mark our progress as well.
And also in between the annual, it's suggested to do the full survey annually, but we also want to do pulse surveys in between, just check-ins with our employees. on various things. But as Justin mentioned, yes, it is recommended to do it over a year, and that way we can measure where we started, and if any of the items from the findings where we implemented, how they're improving and what are the outcomes from that, and so that we can have a metrics in the data to analyze over a period of time. I don't know if we have any questions.
Yes, ma'am. Director Meredith.
Thank you, Tanya. I do have just a question, matter of fact, about a couple of them, but I'll start with one. As far as the survey, this survey, is this the first time doing it, or you've done it before, and how long have it been in existence? I know you're doing a little tweaking, to what needs to be looked at for the data.
I believe the last survey was conducted around 2017. And as you know, we've had retirements, different staff. So that benchmark, we can look at the data from that, but we want to start fresh with our current employees and based on what we're doing now as an organization and build on that and continue to grow. As far as the questions, the CPS HR consultant, they are an organization that works with government entities. However, their tools that they use will base the metrics on other government entities, but also state and the national, they have a database of questions that have been created using a lot of metrics with bringing in people that focus on what is the best engagement, what are we really looking at getting. But there's an item bank, and we'll be able to, our first kickoff meeting will actually give us a bank of questions, and we would, as an agency, can go through those questions and pick out those questions. And it's the questions are recommended from CPS HR Consulting based on several surveys that they've done. They've done numerous surveys. So we don't have the full questions yet. That's part of our first kickoff, is to identify the questions that we want as an agency.
That was the other part. You did very well. That was part of the other part of my question. Once this is developed and it is ready to be presented, is this presented to the different departments, or is it presented to all employees? How would this be presented?
Are you talking about the findings?
The survey itself.
Well, the survey, CPS HR is going to be our third party. They're going to conduct the survey. So it's going to be an independent survey. They're going to reach out. We will let employees know that a survey will be coming, and CPS HR will be conducting the survey and encouraging all employees to take part of the survey.
Okay.
And then they will do the kickoff, send out all the messaging to the employees, collect the data, review it, and then provide us the findings. So although it's not mandatory, but we're going to heavily encourage all employees because we believe all employees' voices should be heard.
To inclusion. Okay, thank you.
How did we decide on CPS?
Excuse me?
How did we decide on CPS consulting?
How did we decide on CPS HR Consulting? Well, I have history with CPS HR Consultant as far as working with all the special districts. We have a special district forum. We fill out fillers to see what other agencies who they have used for conducting surveys. I did my own research. I met with CPS HR. Just the scope of them working with a lot of our comparable agencies, also with primarily all, their focus is public agencies. So I think that was something that they had above the others. We didn't do a RFP, but we did consult with other agencies that have utilized them in the past.
Yeah, I've worked with them on other things because I know that they also specialize in a lot of just recruitment. What I'd like to see is that because we said we're going to do this on an annual basis. So what I'd like to see is a tie-in to this and our equity principles, right? And so if the goal here is to go back and do an annual check-in, then I don't want to see CPS doing it every year, right? I would like to see that someone else checks in on the check-inner, if that makes sense, right? Who's checking the checker? Because what we usually see when these employee surveys is a lot of distrust of surveys. People don't like to honestly answer surveys because they don't know who's looking at them, what are you going to do with the information, and does it really matter what I think? So they got to trust the messenger, right? And if they feel like the messenger is not somebody who's going to deliver, is only going to deliver what we want to hear, then, and if there's somebody, the same people all the time, so I really would like us to consider making sure that there's not the same person all the time and that there's not a perception that they work for us. There's got to be a perception that they are truly a third party and they're working to cull information that's going to make the organization better. Okay? So somewhere in the back of your head, you gotta come up with that. There's a couple of other organizations that are, that are women-owned, that are, that are equity principled, that are coming from, Black, Latina, LGBTQ. They fill the gap of that are working out of Southern California that you may want to take a look at as well. They're small, but they do this work in this space. In most of it, and they're coming out of academia, but they're publishing papers on this, and they are doing this work in this space. I know because we put out an RFP for this, and they did respond. So there are some other ones, and nothing against CPAs. I think if this is the road you're going down, I think that's good. But I do want to make sure that we're opening up these branches to smaller. If we're looking at our equity principles, that we're standing by our equity principles, and that we're making sure that the employees see themselves in the people who are, because they're going to be presenting to us. So the employees need to see themselves in the people who are conducting these surveys. This first. Secondly, can we make sure it's a full, I know people don't like this because usually people think it's on 180, but it's 360 eval, right? So full 360 eval, that we're not just picking questions that force people to answer a certain way, right? Do you agree that West County wastewater, so it forces you to answer a certain way, right? Rather than letting people have a question where they can disagree with us or actually have an opinion, right? So the survey has to be a true survey. So if they come in and they don't like us, then they don't like us. They don't like something we're doing, then they have to tell us. We cannot improve if we don't know what we don't know.
And part of the survey will have open-ended questions so that employees will be able to respond to questions and give their honest feedback. And that information that comes through will be the true statement of what the employee is stating. So it's not going to be like a redacted, it's not going to be transposed, it's going to be exactly in the wording of the employees. And one of the things you mentioned was true third party. And that's one of the reasons why we went out. Because in HR, we can do our own survey and we can build it based on, we have tools that we can do that currently, but we wanted to make sure that it was truly a third party vendor that would be doing that survey. But I took notes on your recommendations, and we'll consider that going forward.
I do want to just add on kind of the methodology. I think that's also really important that we're following a survey methodology, that the experts who do it all the time, so there's significant, like that what the results are, that we can say, yes, we can believe that they administered the survey in a way that we can follow those results. And then going forward on a year-to-year basis, I think once we have that list of questions, I think it is important to essentially ask the same information so we can compare over time. But we can do that with other firms, right? We don't have to have the same one.
Because we'll have the questions, that are being asked, and we can just pass that along and to another firm and have them ask the same questions, and just see what the outcome would be with, the other firms. And I get what you're saying about representation.
Yeah.
So,
Making sure that the employees understand what the purpose of it is, that we're not just gathering information to gather information, that we really have the intention to do something with the information. The outcomes from that will result in something. Work groups to improve whatever we come up with, and employee resource groups will take it and come up with recommendations, something. The purpose is to take this information and to do something with it, to either continue with those things that we're doing well, to improve on those things to continue with the things that we're doing excellent, to enhance and improve the things that we're doing well, and to either remake, start over on the things that we're not doing well. But I think that is really important, how you frame the survey for employees, or otherwise you're going to end up with 10 people responding, right, or 10% of the people responding instead of a 60% response rate, right? Because if we only get a 10% response rate, we can't use that. That's my opinion. I don't think we can act off of 10%. I think that 10% response rate is telling us what we need to know, is that we're not doing a very good job if people don't want to respond to a survey, right? So I think that's how it's positioned. And then I also would like to know, and this is for you guys, it's a rhetorical question, how are they going to administer the survey? Because if it's only by email, click on this link, go on to here, and it's not coming in and saying, yes, this is anonymous, but is there another way that we can talk to you about this? Is there another way that makes you comfortable in doing this? Some people just don't feel like sitting in front of a computer for 10 minutes, right? So what is the best way that you would like to take this survey, right? Make it most convenient and easy for the workforce. And the admin staff might have a different way that they want to do it than the actual boots on the ground workers. So I think that having that conversation and the stakeholders that we want to know from in each different area somebody might want a paper. They may want a paper because they might be like, nah, you can track me on that computer. Now, I don't believe you when you say it's anonymous. Give me a piece of paper where I can write down what I feel and I can put it in a box somewhere. Do you see what I mean?
yeah, I do. And I do want to call out that it will be, like, a lot of our staff that work operations, maintenance, CSO, they have mobile phones, and that it will be available, and most of them utilize their mobile phones.
They do, but still a lot of people are like, you can track me. I'm not doing that survey because you can track me by my phone. So I'm just saying offer an alternative so they can feel like anonymous is anonymous. If they still want to do it by their phone, they have that option. If they want to do it online, they have that option. But if you have that paper there, I'm telling you, because we just did one at work and that came up, the union people are like, nah, I'm good, I pass. Until we said, what if we put a paper form in your break rooms? Oh, okay. They can't try me on the paper. Nobody knows if I took one, if I put it in the box. So this is just my recommendation to you, just a suggestion rather, okay? All right, anything else? Okay, and we already took public comment, so.
So just to confirm, we haven't received any public comments written comments on item 2, but if anyone wishes to comment on item 2, which is what Tanya just presented, the employee engagement survey, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Thank you so much and appreciate it. Thank you. Excited to see how it goes. Posted.
All right. Well, we'll have Tanya continue to stand up there for a second, but first I will ask if the next item is review the contract with Coffin Associates for an employee compensation survey and consider the staff recommendation to present to the board of directors for approval. So first, Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments?
We have not received any written comments. If anyone wishes to comment on item 3, please approach the podium, or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Okay, now we'll turn it back over to Tanya to present this item.
Once again, Tanya Williams, Human Resources Manager. We at West County Wastewater want to maintain a competitive salary structure. We believe that is essential and aligns with West County Wastewater's strategic goal number 5, to recruit, develop, inspire, and retain employees. We also want to make sure that our salaries remain competitive and in sync with the labor market of our competitors. Our last compensation study was conducted in 2019. Since then, we've made many adjustments. We increased salaries. We did a reorg in water quality, flex promotion. So we've done a lot of organizational changes and brought our salaries up to market. However, we have not done that total compensation study since 2019. And the best practice is to do a compensation study every 3 to 5 years. You always have those exceptions where technology may change, the scope of the job may change, and you may have to look at the salary. But we want to have our compensation looked at. So in May, we went out with an RFP. We received 5 proposals, and we went through the evaluation process, and our top proposer is Coffin Associates. So we're currently working through the contract for them to look at all of our salaries for all of our positions. Also our benefits, which would include our differentials such as standby pay, overtime. We want to look at how we are now since COVID, remote work options, just everything so that we can have that benchmark and we can have that fresh start from since we've made all of the changes so that we can kind of take a look at it and then we can go back and modify as needed and review every 3 to 5 years. As I stated, we are working through that contract. Right now, the total cost for the contract is about $50,505, and we'll include a review of all of the salaries for our classifications and the benefits. So what we're asking is for the committee to approve us to present to the full board, and we're looking to go October 4th. If you have any questions, or Justin, you want to add anything?
Just one addition. This is as we were in negotiations with our current MOUs. This was actually a request from the union just to make sure that we're being competitive, and so we did agree with them that it was time. And so and we did have one representative who helped from the union. Represented one of our employees who was part of the evaluation process as well. Yes, we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Go ahead, Director.
Yes, I do. Upon to approve this request to bring this information to the full board, is it totally ready? The information is everything in place? I know you had just mentioned that it's more or less halfway, of what needs to be presented, but can we assure that what will be presented would be enough to get started with this company at this point?
So the scope of work is already outlined. The only thing that I think we've been working with legal, we've been working with Coffin Associates and their legal team, and it's just a matter of finalizing the contract. We have one outstanding, so we've gotten all of the things, so I just want to send it back to legal one last time to look it over, and then we'll be ready to move forward. That's the only, all the terms, basically, there were a couple of outstanding with the insurance, wanting to make sure that we are included as a additional insured. So if anything, any liabilities, anything comes up, that we will be covered in that aspect. So that was one of the last outstanding, and it's just like for a final review for Hanson Bridget to review. But I think all of our asks have been approved through their legal, and it's just that last review.
Okay. So, Madam President,
Yeah.
would
You still have
you,
questions?
yes, would you like for me to
I
move
have more
forward
questions.
after your question?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Tanya, for answering it. Okay.
It's always interesting when we do a comp study, because sometimes we find out information that we might not like. That I'm all for comp studies, as we talked about during the negotiations. I think it's important, but I also think I'm going to say this because I think that we need to say it while we're on the record. That the comp study may find that we may need to adjust salaries and or compensation up or down. So, have we had that conversation, or have we prepared people for that? Because if we find that not only has West County Wastewater had this, if West County Wastewater has been paying in the median, or if it's low, that conversation I think people are ready for. But are they ready to find out that West County Wastewater is either median to high, or over? Are they prepared for that conversation, for it to adjust the other way?
We have had talks about looking at our budget for those positions if we need to make an adjustment upward. But I know you're talking about the conversation that no one wants to have of if we're way above our
The classification,
competitors.
the classification.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Justin can maybe speak to this, but from my perspective, and this is just my perspective, I don't think the impacts of the employee our intentions are to negatively impact.
I know we wouldn't do it, but what I'm saying is that is a conversation that needs to be had. What no one ever wants to say is, while the HR has been empowered by the board to make adjustments upward, you should also know that there are some positions that are being paid well above what the average is, or well above what the compensation survey shows, and we are agreeing not to negatively impact you. That is a conversation that needs to be had, and that is something that needs to be said. If you're being paid $150,000, but the compensation survey says that your range is 115 to 135, that is something that needs to be acknowledged. Just as much as it needs to be acknowledged that if the compensation survey says you should be paid in a range of 135 to 150, and you're getting paid 115 to 135. Both of those factors are things that need to be acknowledged. So all I'm saying is that what Coffin Associates should be doing, which I know because I've seen this done, is they should be acknowledging both things are possible, and that they should be bringing that forth. But we, on our end, need to be communicating the same. That whether it is low or high, we need to be communicating the same. I'm not advocating reducing someone's salary. I think that if they're at that salary, they stay at that salary. But we do need to make it known that, and I think it's a public thing, right?
Yes.
That If we're paying at a median, we only have to pay here. We need to say that because that affects your recruiting. That affects your ability to recruit people. We are paying well above what the market is asking for, and people will want to work here. If you're paying 15% higher than what the market says, I won't work there. I want to work there. If you're paying, if the survey says that you're paying 15, 20% more than what the market says. But if we're silent on that, that affects your recruiting. Do you see what I mean now?
Yes, but the findings will identify.
But the findings are going to, they will, but this is going to be sitting on the server somewhere.
Make a note, and that will be something that we would use
Yeah.
going forward. And
But
when
I-
it's time to make those adjustments, that's something that we would be
It
able
is.
to use as a benchmark, whether it is up or going down. So we will acknowledge it, and that will be reported out.
Well, I want to report it out, but I don't want it as a stale report on a website and nobody sees. I want you to give yourself some credit. I want you to publish it somewhere, you know? And I'm saying that because I have a inkling of what I've seen before. And I know before when it was published, this wasn't done. It wasn't made into so you should take their report and do your own marketing report from it, is what I'm saying. And I'm saying that up front. I'm giving you some insight to what you should say before Ms. Annie makes her recommendation to take it to the full board. I'm giving you some insight into, okay, you're gonna do this survey, just as we did with the last item. Then what? Then what? So when you get to the full board, be prepared to say, then what? What are we gonna do? Okay, you do the survey and what? Okay, it's easy to say we do the survey, we find out employees are may need adjustment to their salary upward. Okay, and then what? So then what's going to happen? So what I'm trying to get you to say is, okay, we're going to take that data and we'll use it for negotiation. Okay, we know that. We'll look and see who may need to be reclassified. Or nobody needs to be reclassified. But again, there's three things. We will look at that data to see what we're doing excellently when it comes to compensation so that we can keep doing that, and it'll assist with recruitment. We'll look and see what we're doing well so we can enhance it and improve it, and we'll look to see what we need to do better, right? But we'll also take it and use it to market it, to say, we are paying X percentage more than what the market is requiring, especially tag the areas, right? In the administrative areas or what is, come work for Waste County Wastewater. Our CSOs make X amount percentage more than the average operations person does. You see what I mean? That's what I'm after a survey is finished, is to use that data to say, wow, like some kind of marketing information.
Also in the marketing for attracting,
That's right.
retaining.
If I see that, I'm gonna go to the website at least. The first thing, at least I'm gonna take a look. It will grab my attention more than, even if I don't even know the salary, but just that percentage thing, it grabs people's attention. So there's what I'm saying. Take that to the general board to grab them in and get them to pay attention to that. Especially because we know you're gonna have other question about retention and recruitment. Recruitment and retention seems to be a big topic in the big board meeting. So if you can use this to say we can use this compensation survey, or I would call it a study instead of a survey, because that's what they're doing. They're doing a study across the industry, right? Information to also learn how to retain staff, right? So not only to recruit, but how to retain staff. That's my recommendation. Okay?
That's all in alignment with our strategic goals.
It's all in our strategic goals. So always take it back to the strategic goals. Always. Just as we talked about the last item, this item too. Always take it back to the strategic goals, and I think you'll be fine at the bigger meeting. Okay? Thank you. Great report. And we already called for public comment because I marked it off this time. And Ms. Ani, do you want to go ahead and move the item?
Yes, I would like to make the
Recommend?
Yes, I would like to make the recommendation for Coffin Associates to present to the full board of directors.
On the 10-4, at the next board meeting.
Yes, at our next board meeting,
So it-
which will be September
No, she
has it?
10-4, 10-4.
10/4. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to
Yes.
second, so you're estimating 10-4, it might be a different date, right?
Okay.
Okay, so we'll just go ahead and move to recommend for full presentation to the board, pending 10-4 or when the general manager advises.
Thank you.
Welcome, thank you. Are
Okay,
you still gonna
thank
stand there? You still Tanya, right? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, sir, back to you.
Okay, our next item is to review the terms of the Hanson Bridget contract and consider extension of to return to the board of directors to exercise the options to extend the contract.
Okay, go ahead.
So,
And our general counsel has
General
something to
Counsel has a
say.
comment.
Yeah, I appreciate it. As an employee of Hanson Bridget, I have financial interest in this, so I'm going to step out of the room at this time.
Okay, thank you, madam. Appreciate it.
I'm just going to call for public comment.
Yes, yeah, while General Counsel is stepping outside, Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments related to this item?
So we have not received public comments on item 4. If anyone wishes to make comments now, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Okay, and who is presenting on this one?
I will be giving a brief presentation on the item, just a little history of kind of where we're at. So in June of 2020, the previous general counsel issued a resignation, said they were going to terminate services. At that time, staff, we actually found 3 different general counsels to help us
Right.
along the way while the board was conducting an RFP for general counsel services. Hanson Bridget did come on board on a limited basis around July for a couple months while the RFP was being conducted. So the board of directors went through an RFP process. There was, I believe it was about 5 firms that were ultimately interviewed. And the board selected Hanson Bridget as the West County Wastewater General Counsel. And the actions were taken in September of 2020. So the initial term for Hanson Bridget was 3 years, so it's through the end of this month of 2023. And then there are options to extend up for another 2 years, up through 2025. In discussions with this item, the board could actually move to exercise both options at the same time and extend the term for another 2 years from now. We don't have to do it 1 year at a time.
Yeah.
So that is actually slightly different from what the report, the agenda item, but actually our recommendation would be to extend, to exercise both 1-year options to extend the Hanson Bridget contract through September 30th of 2025. And just, since Hanson Bridget has come on to serve as our general counsel, we've been doing a lot of work. So as President Sudduth has seen since she's been on the board, we have been doing, many policy updates that Hanson Bridget has helped us with, completely revising ordinances, consolidating personnel policies into employee handbook. There's been several legal issues that Hanson Bridget has helped us with. And they have, one of our largest contracts, the NG contract. They have experts within the firm that were able to really help us do the negotiation with a very large and complex contract that we've never entered into. So as a firm, on the staff side, we're very happy to continue working with Hanson Bridget and the various resources and expertise that they have across, they've been able to help us on every legal issue that we've needed for these last 3 years. So happy to answer any questions about this item.
Thank you so much. Let's take public comment, and then we'll just discuss. Any public comment? Madam, did we receive any, or?
We have not.
Okay.
And let me just check Zoom. No hands raised in Zoom. If anyone wishes to speak now, please come to the podium. Seeing none, no public comments.
Thank you so much.
A comment, and I just want to be clear what we're recommending for Hansons and Bridges. Instead of 1 year, we're looking at 2 year, September.
So before you answer, so there are 2 one-year options to extend the contract. So we have the option of extending the contract for we can pick up the first one-year option to extend to end of September 2024. And then we have a second one-year option to extend to September 2025.
Okay,
And the contract does give us the option of picking up both options at one time.
one time, okay.
So those are our 2 choices.
2 choices.
Extend 1 year at a time or both of them at one
Both of
time.
them at both time. Both of them both time.
Okay?
Yes,
All right.
okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Absolutely. Now, with that said, to expound on what Mr. Lovell said, we do have a lot of work ahead of us. We've got major construction going on to complete the Clean and Green project, and we've got a lot of other things that we're right in the middle of cleaning up. And so, Director King Meredith, I am recommending that we approve going to the full board, extending both options.
Okay.
I think it's prudent, and I think that it's the direction that I would like to see us go, because it also gives us time to allow the staff, it gives staff time to put out the RFP. We were rather rushed, and we did a great job of getting it out last time, but we did it under the least desirable of circumstances the last time, trying to get it done in 90 days. And I would not wish that on anyone. I do this every day, and it is not fun. So I would like to posit that we put forth the 2 years, and in the middle of the second year, we start the process 6 months ahead of time of putting out the RFP for the following 5-year, 3+2 contract. And that would be my recommendation to bring forth to the full board. Yes, you concur? So that is
I
our
concur.
concurrence, that we take that to the full board.
Yes.
That we do we exercise 2 year, both years for the contract expiring 9/30/25, and that 6 months into the second year, you go ahead and start the RFP for the new contract. So that would be that's our recommendation, and that you make sure you mention that to the board, that the new RFP process will start at the beginning of 2025.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, that sounds good.
All right. All right. Somebody want to grab our GC? Tell her to come on back in, please.
We can
Thank
bring
you.
her back.
She'll be excusing herself at the meeting as well.
Yeah, so while she's coming back, I can just introduce the next item.
Absolutely.
So our next item is to make modifications to the general manager's, it's actually not purchasing authority, I just want to clarify, is we're going to be making recommendations to the general manager's kind of authority, management authority. There's the management resolution regarding claims. And so we'll go just a little bit more detail about what we're going to, but first, Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments related to this item?
We do not. Let's check. No hands raised in Zoom, but if anyone wishes to approach the podium or comment now in Zoom, please raise your hand in Zoom, excuse me. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Okay, yeah, so just to clarify what our recommendation is, the General Counsel has drafted additions that we would recommend adding to the Management Authority resolution that we would come back to the board. But this is related to the General Manager Authority relating to settling of claims. And I'll let General Counsel Witt just discuss the item a little bit further.
Yes.
Thank you. So this new delegation of authority targets a few areas to really offer some administrative efficiencies and in a way that is consistent with existing delegations of authority to the general manager. So the first way is that this proposed change would delegate authority to the general manager to respond to administrative claims that the agency receives. So this is a way to efficiently respond to tort claims in order to ensure that we can preserve the agency's defenses while also kind of handling that aspect in the litigation process as a public agency. In addition to that, and kind of relatedly, this new proposed delegation of authority would allow the general manager to settle or resolve claims up to $50,000. So that's the piece that is consistent with other delegations of authority to the general manager, that these could be administrative claims, lawsuits of any type, and would give him that, or would give the general manager that authority as well. In addition, the new delegation of authority also applies to workers' compensation claims specifically. Again, a delegation of authority to settle claims up to $50,000. And in both cases, the general manager is also authorized to negotiate settlements in excess of $50,000, but approval would still need to come back to the board. And then the last item here is really that the general manager would be delegated the authority to really approve conflict waivers, joint defense agreements, other types of legal agreements necessary to protect the district or to sort of begin the process of any kind of joint defense or joint common interest agreements, things of that type. And that's it. I'm happy to respond to any questions if there are any.
Do you have any questions?
I'm sorry. No, I do not have any questions. I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you.
Okay, great. First of all, let me back up. Public comment, Madam Clerk.
We have not received any written comments. If anyone wishes to speak on item 5, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to ask you again, just because.
No, I do not have any comments at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So I don't have, I just have the question of reporting of what are we adding in for reporting back to the board? When would it be reported to the board? How often? Does it need to be monthly? Is a quarterly report sufficient? And then how would it be reported? I understand that if it's over $50,000, it has to have the board approval. Just when, how,
Sure.
just the logistics of it.
Sure. So I think what we would suggest is quarterly reporting back of any claims, lawsuits settled within the general manager's authority. And that's because this isn't, I think monthly would be too regular.
I think so,
We're not
yeah.
receiving claims or resolving settlements or handling these issues at that rate.
Good.
And then I think what we've discussed preliminarily was sort of including this as part of the general manager's report in some way during a board meeting.
Okay. And then during the report, okay. As long as it's separated so that we can see it differently, I think that will quell any anxiety that you may get from the board for having, giving up any type of authority. I think it's good. This is one of the things that I personally am fine with. I think it's good. We can anytime we can get things done at a level that's going to preserve rights and keep things moving. I think it's good. Yeah, the quarterly report during the GM report and making sure that board members just have purview, I think needs to be mentioned during this item. I think just that part, make sure that's highlighted at the meeting, that it will be reported and recorded separately. I just think that those two are going to be key, that is not going to be stuck on the check register somewhere, but that it's going to be recorded separately, reported quarterly in the GM's report. That was it. With that, madam, do you want to move it to the general meeting? Do you want to make a motion? Yeah.
Yes, I would like to make a motion for the general manager's personal authority to be modified with the modifications for separate reporting and quarterly.
Yeah. So, Madam Clerk, we're going to move this to the general, we're going to approve this to be moved to the general board meeting, so the full board meeting with those two modifications. Quarterly reporting during the general manager's report and recorded separately. All right, we're on a roll. Let's go.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Next item is matters from members of the committee. Are there any reports or matters pertaining to the work of the committee from our committee members?
Madam?
Not right now. I think I'll save mine for the full board, if I may.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That is in your purview, and I love it because you're gonna get us out of here on time. Yeah, and I think it's the same. I do want to say that I love this thing. I noticed it this morning when I walked in. I love it, and for those online who can't see what I'm talking about, we have a beautiful plexiglass. Is it plexiglass? Logo, plexiglass logo on the front of our speaker's lectern. And it's gorgeous. I take it home, but I can't take it off. I don't know how to take it off. But it's gorgeous. And it's nice and bright and shiny. And the only other thing is that we will be out. I know this is not F&A, but it's kind of F&A because it's administration. So I'm going to ask Miss Tanya, because she's still Tanya, to come up here and tell you where we're going to be on Sunday. Because you're going to be out there in full force looking for some new people, right? Tell them where we're going to be on Sunday.
On Sunday, we'll be at the El Sobrante Stroll. So everyone here is welcome to join us. And if you're out there on Zoom, please join us at the Solano Stroll.
El Sobrante.
El Sobrante.
Yeah, we'll be in force from, what is it, 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. With that, we will see you, Madam Clerk will let you wave us on out of here with our next meeting.
She put me on the spot. You know the date? I don't. I don't.
I don't
The
know.
next meeting. Wow.
That's why I looked at
Computer,
you.
I don't want to look. Sorry.
10 something.
Yes.
I don't know.
10/12. Okay, so the thing.
Wow.
So the next Finance and Administration meeting is October 12th at 9 a.m.
Okay, 9.
And with that,
Cheryl wrote 9 instead of 8:30.
no, 9 a.m. And you want to adjourn?
With that, we are adjourned at 9:54. Thank you all. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
She got me.
Sorry, you said that.